I'm more than happy to say that the NFL season is starting soon, but before we can get too excited, we first need to stake out what is going on in the NFC playoff picture. We will go through all 4 NFC divisions and predict their record, playoff success, and pretty much everything else that will happen to them this season. First, let's go to the best division in all of sports, the Beasts of the East. If you're not an Eagles fan like myself, take everything I say with a grain of salt because you know I'm just gonna glaze my beautiful birds. I have the Eagles being the 1 seed in the NFC, obviously winning their division and going 13-4 to finish the season. I think the throwing talent of Jalen Hurts will be the highlight of the season. Saquon Barkley will still be a factor, but will be more in the back seat in this relationship between throwing and running. And I think the Eagles defense will be even better than last year. For the Communists, it's simple. They're definitely going to the playoffs because they have an elite quarterback in Jaden Daniels. While I am an Eagles fan, I'm not so delusional that I'll say the Communists won't even make the playoffs, because they will for sure. I don't think they'll have quite as much hype with them going into the playoffs this season as they did last year. I think they're going to kind of cool off a little bit. Just Debo brings some bad vibes. But they of course do have an elite quarterback in Jaden Daniels who will get them to the playoffs. They are going 11-6 and be the 5th seed. For the Cowboys, it's simple. I don't really see this team having a good defense at all. Besides Micah Parsons, there are no good players on this defense. Maybe that's a crazy take, but I don't think so. And we all know that the offense usually hums with Dak Prescott in the lineup. You got CeeDee Lamb, of course, who's going to be a force, and you have George Pickens now. But they have no running game. They have a new head coach. They lost Mike McCarthy. Now they have Brian Oppenheimer, whatever his name is. And speaking of Oppenheimer, I really think they're going to bomb this season. I have them going 8-9, being competitive in some games, but mostly just losing. And finally, we have the boys in the basement of the NFC East. We have the Giants. Just look at the Giants' schedule. Just let that marinate, let that soak in, let that salivate in your mouth. Giants ain't winning more than 3 games. Even if Jackson Dart goes in halfway through the season or at the beginning of the season, there's going to be growing pains. Malik Neighbors and their defensive line are the only bright spots of this team. I fortunately have these guys going 3-14. Shout out Cam Scattaboo from my hometown. Moving on to the NFC South. I think this season for the NFC South teams are going to play out pretty eerily similar to last season. I don't really see any of these teams getting way better or way worse than last season. Starting out with the Bucks, I do think that they will win this division yet again, but I think it's going to be a close race between them and the Falcons, just kind of like last year. I have the Bucks going 11-6 because they do have Baker Mayfield, they have Mike Evans, they have Chris Godwin, and if their defense can just play a little better than last year, I think this team can be a force to reckon with in the playoffs. And as an Eagles fan, I'm just scared of them. I do have them finishing as the 2nd seed in the NFC playoffs, but I got the Falcons right at their heels at 10-7, and they will be the 6th seed in the playoffs. The reason I like the Falcons a little better this year than last year is because of the change at quarterback. He is my quarterback that's on watch. He's the quarterback that I could see easily having a breakout season just because I feel like he has a lot of potential. They got weapons on the perimeter. They have a decent enough defense to help them get into the playoffs. I think they're going to be competitive with the Bucks. That's why I have them in the playoffs as the 6th seed. The Panthers were a team that I really wanted to say could make the playoffs, but I don't think they're quite there yet. I like the direction they're going in. Obviously, last season, it started off pretty bad with Bryce Young getting benched, but it started to heat up at the tail end there. They almost beat the Eagles. They almost beat the Chiefs. I was like, whoa, hang on a second. This is a little more than I bargained for with these guys. I think Bryce Young is going to take another step. Obviously, the Panthers are putting weapons around him in order to succeed, but I just think that defense is just not that great. So I do have them going 8-9, definitely missing the playoffs, but having hope in the future that maybe the next season or the season after that they could sneak in. And then we have when the Saints go marching out of the playoffs. They're going to stink this year. I don't really see this team having the coaching, even though I like Kellen Moore. I don't see this team having the weapons. I don't see this team having the personnel or the quarterback to make a run. And I have them going 5-12 and being the little brother in this division. Next up, let's move to one of the most confusing divisions in football, the NFC West. And I only say that the NFC West is confusing because of the 2 top teams that I have in this division. If you can guess what those 2 teams are, it's the Niners and the Rams. I keep flip-flopping between these teams being either elite or terrible. The Rams have one huge factor that could decide their season being 4-13 or 13-4, and that's the health of Matt Stafford. If Matt Stafford is healthy, these Rams are going to be dangerous because they have Puka Nacua, they have Devontae Adams, they have a dangerous defense, and if Matt Stafford is slinging that thing, yeah, these Rams are going to be dangerous. But unfortunately, this is predictions. You have to kind of predict a little bit what's going to happen. And for this season, I predict that Matt Stafford will be injured at least partially throughout the season. And I think that's the difference between them making into the playoffs and not. I have them going 9-8, barely missing the playoffs. For the 49ers, it might be even more confusing. Every time I think about the Niners, I either view them as this elite juggernaut that I've known them to be in the past, or I see them as a struggling team that finished 4th in their own division underneath the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Are you kidding me? There's just a lot of questions that I have about these Niners that I feel could land them at 4th in their own division yet again. But of course, I'm not saying what could be this, could be that. I am saying that they will go 10-7. Brock Purdy will play good enough. The wide receivers around him will play good enough. The defense will hold their end of the bargain with Robert Saleh, and they'll go 10-7 and be the 4th seed in the NFC playoffs. The Cardinals are another team that I feel like could be really hot or really cold depending on how you view them. Kyler Murray is always a wild card. You never know if he's going to be good or not. It really just depends if he played Call of Duty the night before. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride are the best parts of this team, but besides that, I don't really see this team being that great at anything else. I have them going 6-11 and being the worst team in this division. And next, let's talk about the Seahawks. The Seahawks are a team that I feel like their success depends greatly upon the quarterback play. If Sam Darnold can replicate his success from Minnesota, this team can go to the playoffs for sure. But I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to play worse. I think he's going to be somewhere in between Jets Sam Darnold and Vikings Sam Darnold, right in between, smack dab in the middle, which does not land the Seahawks in the playoffs. I have the Seahawks going 8-9 and narrowly missing the playoffs. And last but not least, the NFC North. I don't even know what to call this division because of how exciting and yet disappointing they were last season. You had every single team in this division besides the Bears being super good, world beaters, indestructible, juggernauts. But this season, I think everything changes. I think every single team in this division is going to disappoint in some way or another. Let's start off with the Lions. This is going to be a hot take, but the Lions are missing the playoffs. I think they will play competitively in games. I think they'll win a lot of games, but at the end of the day, I think there's going to be more problems than good things going on in that franchise. When you lose Ben Johnson, a beloved coordinator who was a genius offensively, that's not easily replicated. And when you lose Aaron Glenn, who was also a very good coordinator, you're going to see a setback. I have the Lions going 9-8, once again being a fairly good team, but I think we've seen their peak. The Packers are another team that are Next up, let's talk about the Bears. I was really tempted to have the Bears as the team to go from worst to first in their division, but then I was looking at it and I was thinking about it and I was like, DJ Moore is good, but is he elite? Rome Odunze, like, did he really prove that much last season? Caleb Williams has all this potential. He's the next Patrick Mahomes, whatever, all this stuff. Can he put it together? Could he be a bust? While that defense is good, is it great? There's so many questions I have about this team. While I do like Ben Johnson as the hire, I do think that he can do some things for this offense. I'm just wondering if the team is taking on a lot of the persona of Caleb Williams, their leader and quarterback. I have the Bears going 7-10, and last but not least, we have the Vikings. I really like Kevin O'Connell. I really like the best receiver in freaking football, Justin Jefferson, with all due respect to Jamar Chase. And I think that there's a reason why Sam Darnold played good last season. It had nothing to do with Sam Darnold having a breakout year by himself on his own merit. JJ McCarthy will do just fine in this system. Even if JJ McCarthy is average, the Vikings could easily make the playoffs. Their defense is definitely top 10 and could be top 5. So with that NFC playoff picture being complete, you have two new playoff teams in the Falcons and the Niners, which for me, if you're doing predictions, you can't repeat the exact same teams. You have to have at least two new teams. I think those two new teams do make sense. I'm really high on the Eagles and Bucks, not quite as much on the Vikings and Niners, but I do think that those two teams can play very well. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to this channel because football season is getting started and things are going to be crazy very soon here. Thank you so much for watching. Take it easy.